Hello, JUSTJEM here and welcome, or indeed welcome back to my channel. Please excuse my bare face. I will be putting makeup on, but not until later on today, and yeah, you're just going to have to stare at my ugly mug. Luckily you'll have some pictures of some pretty makeup next to me so you can focus on that instead. It's new makeup releases today, and it seemed as though we were going to have a bit of a slow period, and then all of a sudden bits kept popping up. So I'm going to go through some honourable mentions. What I might do actually is return to Cosmic Brush's Starlight Society collection, because I kind of shoehorned this in at the end of the last one I did, and at the time I had filmed I hadn't seen it all, and I just speculated that I might want it. It's actually available on the TikTok shop in the UK on its own, £28, and there was an offer on the other day where I could have got it for 15% off, and I didn't. And I don't know if that's a sign maybe that I'm not that interested. I don't know, I feel like I'm in palette paralysis, for want of a better phrase. There's so much I want, I can't decide what to go for, and I'm in that phase where rather than just buy everything, which is something that I've done before, I'm buying nothing. So it seems to be one extreme or the other with me. Starlight Society is something that I might still get, but now I've seen it 15% off, I won't buy it for any more than 15% off now. Definitely not. The rest of the collection, there's maybe, I don't think I'd want to spend money on buying the entire collection. It's £75. You can get a 10% discount pretty easily. Could have had 15% the other day. But I don't think I'd want everything, which is why I considered getting the palette on its own, because I was drawn to that palette, and then I started thinking to myself, but can I dupe it? And I think I could with Divination. Divination seems to be this palette that just ticks a lot of boxes, because you can get neutral looks and you can get super colourful looks. Granted, I think Starlight Society is cooler toned. Like a few people, when I posted the comparison swatches on my stories, a few people said, oh, I think, you know, good, close, but Starlight Society's cooler, which may well be the case, but enough to warrant having both? I don't know. My completionist nature may well kick in, because I have every single Cosmic palette at this point apart from Royal Rose, which I think was their very first palette, which is now discontinued. And then Muse is going to be discontinued next, I think. So I do have all of them at this point. So it's highly likely that if Starlight Society ever goes on a huge discount, I'll just buy it anyway. But I think for the time being, after assuming it would indeed be something that I would get, I'm going to pass. At least for now, as I say. If there's sales at Black Friday, or it goes on sale 20-30% off, I'll probably get it then. Possibly get it then. Probably get it then. But I'm changing that from a yes to a no, I think. Yes, if money were no object, I'd have bought it, especially when I could get it for 15% off. But I just think it's something I wouldn't want to pay full price for. I'd want to wait for a sale now. Next up on my list of makeups to talk about, Beauty Bay have released a second mini Charms palette, and this one is neutral shimmers. I don't know what I've written here, I can't make sense of, well, it's clear, but it's gibberish. I'm very low down, should we? That's better. You can't buy it on its own though, which is very irritating. You can only buy it in a set with this weird phone charm or a creamy shadow stick, or with the original Mini Charms palette with a mini high key mascara. And if you've seen any of my videos where I talk about the high key mascara, I think it's terrible. It's a god awful mascara. I think it's probably going to be worth having. If the mini charms is anything to go by, I think this new mini charms is going to be worth it, especially if they do end up releasing it on its own for a tenner. I think I'm going to wait and see if it does get released on its own, and then see if there are any codes available to use on it next time I happen to place a Beauty Bay order. But this is eventually, yes, I'm probably going to get this because I really, really like the original Mini Charms palette. For a tenner, I think it's incredible. And if this becomes available for a tenner also, sold. Absolutely. Artitude Cosmetics Submerged. Now this is a 16 pan eyeshadow palette. You'd have thought I'd have written a bit more information on it than the price, which is $39.99. I know that it's a magnetic palette as well, and the shades are going to be on the back. This is a must. Brands, if you're not putting your shades on the back of the pans of your magnetic palettes, what are you thinking? It's standard. And I never used to be someone who felt the need to do a BYOP, but I'm leaning more towards that now. If you saw, I put up a Scratch That Itch where I used Blend Bunny, Beauty Below and Adept Cosmetics Minka to dupe Coalescence and Crown Legacy. And it was in doing that that I discovered that Adept Cosmetics has the shades etched on the bottom of the shades. Now, Adept Cosmetics is a pricey brand, and that's another thing you're probably paying for. 1, the magnetic palette, 2, the formula, and 3, the fact that the shades are not even just stickered on, but etched on the bottom of the palette, which I think is really cool. Even Sampler Beauty, which is £12 a pop, have labelled the shades on the bottom. So any brand who's not doing that, pull your finger out, put the shade names on the bottom of the pans, please. I have got a permanent marker, effectively a thin nibbed Sharpie, and I've began the process of labelling, I think, Beauty Below when I was using that, because I want to be able to put it back where it belongs at some point. Rooks did a live the other day on TikTok actually, and she was talking about how frustrating it was to see other brands doing this theme, obviously Blend Bunny, Beauty Below, and they did Lure before. I can never say that. Ocean Jewel, and the sea and the ocean and mermaid has been a very strong theme of late. I like this palette, I do. I skipped Arcana because it was too light for me, and I did have the opportunity to swatch it in person because Rooks was at the National Beauty Show in Liverpool that I went to a couple of months back now, and it settled it for me that that wasn't a palette that I would enjoy fully, so I'm very glad I didn't buy it. It's still a beautiful palette, but it just doesn't run deep enough for me. On the other hand, Submerged is beautiful. As a blue, purple, green lover, it's tugging on the old heartstrings here. Like I do like the look of it, but again, I don't know if it's this paralysis where I'm looking at all these releases and I'm seeing them all pop up and I'm mentally putting them on my wish list, but that's as far as it's going. I don't feel that final nudge to check out. Again, this may be something that I might pick up on a sale. And on paper, like if someone described this palette to me, described the shades in this palette to me, I think I'd say, that sounds delightful, give me 10 of them, sign me up. These are new pore swatches, I'll put them up on the screen so that you can see them too. And I think it's stunning, they're like deep greens, that it's like this sultry siren colour story. And I think Rooks has nailed it, but she's nailed it maybe a bit late. If this had come out 9 months ago, I'd already have it. I'd probably have a video up of it by now. But because it's come when it has, I don't know, has it missed the wave, so to speak? I don't know. Let's see. I'm also on a pause now because we're that close to Black Friday, I can smell it. And that might be another reason why I'm holding back on purchases. There's no point in buying anything now. You might as well wait until Black Friday at this point, because how much of a mug would you feel if you bought something now and then it would drop to 20, 25 or even 30% off in a couple of weeks' time? You might as well just sit tight at this point, and I think that's probably what I'll do. It's the newest release, it might not be on sale, but a lot of these things probably that I'm going to mention in this video in particular, it would be a no, at least for now, but that could change come Black Friday. As I said, it's 16 shades. I think there's 7 shimmers here. Yeah, there's 7 shimmers. I know there's a holochrome in there. There's going to be some multi-chromes in there, definitely. Maybe a duochrome or 2. The promotion for it, everything about it has been beautifully executed. I've got to give Rooks that. I think it is a beautiful palette, but I just, as I say, I wonder if it's just come a little late. I wonder how many other people feel the same way I do and are perhaps skipping it because it's too similar to other things. But then I don't know, I'm looking at some of these swatches and I'm thinking, is it really all that similar to other things? In theme, yes, but in precise colour story, perhaps not. I think also because I skipped Arcana, which is almost like Siren Light, it's like they pair very nicely together, I'd say, but because I did skip that, I feel more justified in buying this should I decide to. Speaking of Adept Cosmetics, just after the last makeup releases video that I did, I think this was being teased, it was coming soon, and they'd put there was just dark pictures of the palette. You couldn't see anything of it, and it was called, is it called Rimmel? I don't know how you pronounce that. This is, it's like a cool neutral, a cool spicy neutral palette. That's, I think, how I would describe it. I think I prefer this over EBEs, but then if you've bought EBEs, I don't know if you would want to also get this because they're perhaps a little bit too similar. And it's one of those, I don't think, I couldn't have both, and if I was gonna buy one, I do think it would be this one. It's $72 on their website, and then converted at £61, but by the time you've added postage to that, because I think it's about 30 odd quid from Adept Direct, or you can get it for £71 from Monolith. 5 mattes, 10 shimmers. And maybe if I can find some swatches, well, not if I can find, I will very easily be able to find them, but I might compare side by side EBEs and Rimmel? I haven't heard anyone say the name of this palette. That does look pretty. It's just, Adept is a pricey brand. And not only are the palettes themselves quite pricey, to get them to me is extortionate. But this is nice. Like, the more I look at this, the more I'm thinking, oh yeah. If money were no object, I'd probably have bought both by now, as well as Emo. Because Adept Cosmetics, they do some really nice shadows, I have to say. And if money were no objects, I'd probably buy the lot, I'm not gonna lie. But this is like a serious contender now. I'm looking at these swatches. This is very pretty. Very pretty. And I believe Seahorse has just been restocked. I think I might draw the line at Seahorse because that's extortionate, and I think there are too many similar shades in there. I think I've covered it before, but if anyone else is sort of eyeing it up, it is back. I think that might be too much for what you're getting, to be honest. I just, if there was more variation in the shimmers in that palette, I'd be more tempted, but I think some are a bit too samey to warrant the price point of that. Yeah, see, looking at Emo now. See, now I'm going backwards. If anything, I think I'd want to get more of these Adept palettes. These are speaking to me right now. So if you see me in the future playing around with Emo, EBEs and Rimmel, don't be surprised, because just looking at these now, Temptation is great. Temptation is great. They're catching my eye on the whole more than a lot of the recent releases. Trixie Cosmetics Queen Pin. Interesting concept. Bowling. I mean, why not? You can get a bundle, which is $64, and I think that's a saving of $16 because I think that bundle, when you add it up, should be $80. The palette on its own is $48. There's a gloss, which is $16, a highlighter, $16, and then a charm that you can get for $12. What's with these charms? Even Beauty Bay had a charm. I quite liked this. There's almost something Halloween-y about the colour story, which makes sense given the time of year that it properly dropped. But then I don't know what the Queen pin theming is about. Is Trixie an avid bowling fan? I don't know. But as a colour story on its own, I do actually really like that palette. I don't know what retailers there are for Trixie Cosmetics in the UK though. And I can't say, I don't think I've seen anyone do like a YouTube review of this palette. I know that Newport, I think, did an ad for them where she did a couple of looks, and it did look nice. Like this is a solid colour story. I can already, just looking at this, I'm thinking of different combinations I might want to put together. And as I say, it's got that typical Halloween element to it, but a bit more. So if someone put it in front of me at Halloween, I'd say, yeah, Halloween palette. But if someone put it in front of me as just an autumnal palette or just a standard everyday palette, I'd agree with that too. Looking at it though, I'm wondering, you've got like a deep green and a darkish sort of purple. I'd be curious to know how deep they go, and if I would have enough depth for my own personal preference in there. On the whole, I think this is a really nice, solid, cohesive colour story. 12 shades, 5 shimmers, 7 mattes, yeah. Would I actually buy it though? Probably not. I think something like that would be easily dupable. As a collection on the whole, I just thought it was really nice and worth a mention. I saw it and it caught my eye. If money were no object, like, I'm curious to try the brand, because even like the Teletubbies collab that they did, I thought that was actually really well done. And I would try the brand, and this, I think this along with the Teletubbies collection, they're items that have caught my eye the most about the brand and have made me the most intrigued. I think I'll probably get around to trying them eventually. It might be something that I bookmark, and if I know I'm going to be meeting up with a friend who is US based, I might get a few things sent to them, and this might be something that I'd include in that. As I say, I don't know any UK retailers. I'll have to have a dig around and see if I can find any. Noteworthy mention though, definitely. Glamlight have released the Saw collection. Got a lot of things in there. You've got the palette itself, which is $35, the blush duo, $16, a brush set, $22, a lip duo, $18, makeup bag, $24, the Billy Blade mirror, $26, and you can get the full collection with the PR box, $125, and without the PR box, $115. I quite like the colour story of this palette actually as a standalone, but if you happen to have a lot of Glamlight palettes, I wonder if you might have this if you, for example, have got maybe one or two of the Ghostface ones or the Edward palette. I'll try and sort of dig out pictures and I'll put them together so that you can see. On its own, I quite like this. And it reminds me of Sinister a little bit without overlapping too much with Sinister. I could definitely have both. I do really like this colour story, and this is the first time for a good while actually I think I've seen a palette from Glamlight and have thought, I like that. Like, genuinely I like that. The Lord of the Rings one, I had looked at it and I thought, oh yeah, it's alright. And with the Twilight palettes, I did quite like both of them, Edward and Jacob, but there was something missing from both that didn't make me want to go for it. I've recently been playing around a lot actually with my Glamlight palettes to do a ranking, which I have filmed. I don't know when that will go up, but I have filmed that. I filmed it a while ago actually. So I have been using Glamlight a lot, and it's a solid formula. It really is. This again would be something where, let's see how much it is when it's on Monolith. Probably massively inflated, but I'll have to keep in mind that it's $35 if you buy it direct, and there's always discount codes knocking about. I think Glamlight 15 gives you 15% off that price. But there's something about this colour story that I really like. And apart from something like Sinister, I don't have much like this, if at all. So this could definitely be something that I would consider. Watch this space. Yes, if money were no object. Yeah, that's how much I like this palette. I don't think that I would want... Well, I think the mirror's quite clever, but it's also a bit tacky. And that's the thing sometimes with Glamlight and some of the IP stuff that they do. It can border on tacky. But I don't think there's anything else from the collection I want. There doesn't normally tend to be it. It's always the palette that catches my eye. And you could go dark and smoky. You could just do like a nice, pretty, neutral eye with this as well, actually. So it looks like it could be quite versatile, which you might not consider at first glance. Narimi. Now, there's a few of these palettes. There's 4 of them all together. And I don't know if the other 2 were released a bit earlier and then it was these 2, or if they came together. But I'm just going to talk about all 4 of them. Pumpkin Spice and Misty Silver Lake, and they are $47.99 each. Then you've got the Love Picture Book, which is $39.99, and Midnight Narcissus, which is $45.99. These are nice, these are punchy. I hear a lot about Narimi. I haven't tried anything from them, but there have definitely been colour stories that have caught my eye. But I've always held back a little bit just because I wonder if the colour stories are a bit too compact. 8 shades. I think I've mentioned before I try to avoid sort of 4, 6, 9. Sometimes they work, but oftentimes I feel that 9 pans or less doesn't always give you a well-rounded enough colour story. Sometimes it does, don't get me wrong. You can get 9 pans and 4 pans and 6 pans that will give you everything that you need to create multiple distinguishable looks. But if you go monochromatic with it especially, it makes it a bit redundant. And I do have some 6 pans and 9 pans and 4 pans that I do love, but they are limited, so I don't always gravitate towards them. And I think that's why I've not gone for it with Narimi. The Pumpkin Spice one especially, there's something about the tones in that palette that is really beautiful and really tempting. And orange is one of those shades, a bit, maybe even more so than yellow, that I think can be really difficult to formulate. Beyond yellow, I think orange is probably the next shade that I've struggled to find one that I really, really like. The orange in this looks like it could pack a punch. I could be swayed by this. And then as a blue, purple, green lover, the Misty Silver Lake one is also very, very appealing to me. Could one of these be my first Narimi purchase? So the Love one seems a bit Valentine's-y, and then Midnight Narcissus. Yeah, all 4 of these are nice. I think the top ones for me they probably are Pumpkin Spice and Misty Silver Lake, and then Midnight Narcissus follows very close behind. Let me explore these. Let me see how much they are to get to me. I don't know, could this be the end of my palette paralysis? Because looking at these now, I'm not going to lie, when I was collecting all of these, I was very meh. But now I'm sitting here filming this and it's all looking very pretty. It's making me want it all over again, but in a way that I'll probably buy it all, rather than I'm going to ignore it all. Martine Cosmetics, the 669 palette. This caught my eye. It reminded me a little bit of an Adept Cosmetics palette, actually. you know, if you're scrolling by super fast, you might mistake that for an Adept Cosmetics palette, except the format's slightly off because this is £18 rather than 15. I don't know what 669 means. It must mean something, but to me, not a lot. €54.95. This looks as though it's one of those where there aren't any intense shimmers in there. So if you're after eyes you can see from outer space that are going to be picked up by satellites, I don't think this palette is going to give that to you. This is a very autumnal, rich, deep colour story, and I think the shades in there are going to be more on the satiny side than anything. But it made me pause as I was scrolling through IG. It definitely made me linger and have a look, enough to grab a screenshot and go and find out how much this palette would be. Martine Cosmetics, I believe they're French, and they have popped up before. I can't remember now off the top of my head what the palette was that I saw from them before that caught my eye. But I haven't tried anything from the brand before. If you've tried anything from them, like, do let me know, because I'd be curious to hear people's thoughts. But this palette made me stop and have a look. And as someone who's always moaning about lack of depth as well, this is perfect. More on the cool tone side, sort of very grungy, very deep, rich autumnal colour story. About £48. It's kind of standardish price, I think, for a palette of that size and formulation. I say that not having an idea what the formulation of this palette is like, which is why if you know more about Martine Cosmetics, to let me know. But I don't think that's an unreasonable price for a palette like that. And that's not cardboard packaging from what I can tell. That looks like it's plastic, you know, which is what made me compare it to Adept Cosmetics. It looks like it's in that Adept Cosmetics type packaging, but perhaps on the matte side. Composed of 18 powerful shades, hypnotic duochromes, creamy mattes, it offers you the powers of a free and untamed creature. Dark, metallic, bewitching, these shadows give your gaze a haunting intensity. A magnificent palette with superb colours, and the quality is always top-notch. So that's one of the recent reviews. If you've tried Martine Cosmetics, please do share your thoughts. King Kylie, range of stuff. Another one that kind of made me pause. I mean, I wouldn't buy it, no. But as I say, as I was scrolling, I did have a little look. The palette's a bit... Are they all specials? I wonder about the quality. So if they're all shimmers and it's a £30 palette, makes me a little dubious. And that looks like sturdy, solid packaging as well. So if the packaging is sturdy and the price is only £30 and they're all shimmer, I'm suspicious of how good the quality of those shadows would be. Lip kit's 30 quid, bundle 54, or I think there's different bundles. Maybe you can get it with a gloss or with a lip kit and the palette, I'm not too sure. So they're all fairly reasonably priced. It's Kylie, so no. Does that make me a snob? Perchance, but I don't care. I don't think I'd ever be swayed to buy anything from any of the Kardashians, to be honest. So, no. Bella Beauty Bar, Come Play With Us. This is an interesting one because you saw the cover and immediately thought, you know, spooky season, Halloween, and then it opened up and it was very Christmassy. And I don't mind that. I do quite like the colour story, I have to admit, but it's missing some things for me, which is why I probably wouldn't get it. So I did watch a review that Newport did, and she mentioned something that I thought as well. You've got this beautiful green looking shimmer and lovely deep green matte, but what would you blend out that green with? You could use one of the blues in there, absolutely, but I feel you could just ditch one of those blues and put in another green instead. And considering that they've done a lot of blue lately, I feel that there's too much blue in this one. And it's not even that much blue. It isn't. But it's just, if you're a Bella Beauty Bar collector, you will already have a lot of blues from the brand. So it seems really odd to me that they've put 3 matte blues in here and they missed a trick by just not getting rid of one of those blues and putting a lighter green in there that you could use to blend out that hedge maze shade. So while the contents of this palette surprised me based on the cover and the theming, I hear it's accurate, it's like true to the law. I don't watch those kind of films. I'm a big wuss. I don't like those kinds of films. So I haven't seen The Shining, but people who have said that it's on theme, it makes sense. I think people were surprised upon seeing it, that it was definitely more Christmassy than Halloween. But we're going into that, so that does make sense. There's a lot of things I do like about this palette, and having tried Bella Beauté Bar, I do want to try more from them. But this I don't think would be it for me. Less blue. And I see what they've done. You've got the festive blue icy tones, and then you've got the Christmassy green ready gold. I just wish it had a bit more of the green and a little bit less of the blue. Nothing from Bella Beauté Bar has caught my eye the way Poison Garden has. I'm still waiting for that next release from Bella Beauté Bar that wows me. Like Poison Garden, I could not get that out of my head until I had it. I'd wanted that the minute I saw it. I'd wanted Poison Garden. And I can't remember the last time there was a palette where it lived in my brain rent-free and I couldn't get it out of my head until I just bought it. And maybe that's what I'll do now. I'll wait for new releases. I won't buy them straight away, and I'll see which ones I just can't get out of my head. And maybe that's how I'll decide on future purchases. Who knows? And Bella Beauté Bar's pricey as well. On Monolith, this would be £71. It's a £15 palette. Do I think it's worth £71? And then it's $72, and the conversion for that would be £56. But again, you add on the postage, it's probably going to be closer to what Monolith are charging, if not more. Probably more, which is why Monolith can get away with charging $71. And that's another reason why I don't think I would get it. So would I get it even if money were no object? I can't even get my words out. But I don't know. It's beautiful, and if money were no object, I probably would go for it. But no, I don't think so. Give Me Glow Down to Earth palette. This reminds me of, what did I say reminded me of? The Pacific Northwest palette that Nomad just released, but an expanded version. It's got this very, very similar theming, but at the same time I think you could warrant having both. You tell me what you think when you look at this picture. I would prefer Nomad Pacific Northwest. I think it's got some hues of blue in there which draw me in a little bit more. This one is a little bit more on the earthy side, but it is very pretty. It is pretty. I don't think I have any pricing yet. I was trying to find some pricing, but I couldn't. This is £24, and I wonder if that's a bit much, because even like looking at these, I don't know if all of these pans need to be there. I think it could be condensed. Let me see if I can find the price, because Give Me Glow is another brand that I'm yet to try, that I would be open to trying, but once again, it's the price of getting it to me. It always puts me off. But if I had to choose, I probably would get Pacific Northwest. One, I know Nomad's formula, and I know I enjoy it, and thinking about a nice, honed-in, curated colour story, I think that Nomad have done it better. £24, which is like 6 mini palettes within one huge palette, but make them all work together. Muted lavender taupes, muted limes and olives, warm chocolates, grunge neutrals, muted terracottas and peaches, cool money greens. I wonder what that would be. price-wise when it drops on Monolith. I'll keep an eye out to see if money want to object. To try it, probably, because I do think it's beautiful. Perhaps a bit on the monochromatic-y side, but it's a very aesthetically pleasing palette to look at. And they've also got a cool tone version of the Teddy palette. The original Teddy, I remember really liking that, and I think I said in a new makeup that was very tempting. And now they've got the cool tone, sort of mauvey, purpley, pinky version of it, which I do think is pretty. Which one would I'd probably go for the warm Teddy, like the original, but I do like the look of this new one. And I wonder if they do a bundle. There are some very, very light tones in there. I think, yeah, looking at it again now, I just don't know if there's enough depth in there. I feel as though warm Teddy does run a bit deeper, which is probably another reason why I lean more towards that. In the cool tone Teddy, you've only got Hug It Out. It would be a no. I think I'd end up with very samey looks because I'd always be wanting to go to Hug It Out to deepen things up. Whereas with cool Teddy, you've got Hug Life. There's like a deep brown, and you do have that black in there. Nice idea. It's a shame there's not a bit more depth to it. Me and my depth. Me and my depth. I considered omitting this, but I'm going to talk about it. Jeffree Star's Night Owl collection. I mean, you can say what you want about the man, but he does do some nice makeup. He does. I'm sorry. He does. I don't like the packaging. I think we've established now I don't like funny shapes. But this, if I still bought from the brand, I feel this owl shape would have made me draw the line. I can't do that. One of the reasons I think I skipped on Alien at the time was because of the shape of the palette. I can't do it. Like, even if a palette was round, I can do round pans, but I don't think I could do an overall round palette. Is this an original colour story? Probably not. Could it be duped? Again, probably, but there is something about this colour story I really like. I think I really like that you could go colourful with it, but you can get some neutral looks out of there too. And you can mix and match. Am I going to buy it? Abso-fucking-lutely not. But it's a really nice colour story. And I was racking my brain because something about it does look a bit familiar. And if you can think of a palette that dupes this, I want to know. I definitely want to know, because looking at it, it feels familiar, but I can't quite put my finger on it. There's an old Urban Decay palette, which I do have, which I think it could remind me of. This is something that belongs in my basket of shame, because Lord knows how long I've had this and I haven't even swatched it. The little brush that comes inside is still in the plasticky what's it. And I think this might be it, you know. That's not too dissimilar, is it? There's a bit more to it, obviously. There's more range. And this is all satiny, shimmery type shades. That's what I'm trying to say. I think I bought... No, I didn't buy it. That's probably the reason. I think this was given to me. It was at a time when I was getting into makeup and I was buying a lot of it myself, and then people were buying it for me as gifts. So I had to be... I was like overwhelmed with makeup, and this is one of those ones that I just never used. But I wonder if it kind of reminded me of that a little bit. Maybe I'll film a basket of shame using this. But there's something... I don't know. I feel like there's something else, because there's... Maybe it's a combination. And maybe that's why I'm drawn to it. It has elements of a lot of the things I enjoy. It's got your blue, it's got your purple, it's got your green. There's a beautiful looking magenta shade. Candy headlights. I don't know. Jeffree might have done something there, unfortunately. But he's got a whole bunch of other stuff. So the palette's $56. Lip Arousal lip glosses, $22. There's a brush set, $38, and I think I read you could buy them individually. Eye crayon, $25, and then some eye patches that you can use, which are $18. Thought I'd share, but I'm not buying it. I'm going to find a way to dupe it though. Absolutely. Huda Blush Filter Blurring Blush Lighter Palette. Is that really what it's called? Blush Filter Blurring Blush Lighter. Yeah, apparently so. And there are 3 different shades, I believe. Like 3 different colourways. Roseberry, Toasty Peach and Baby Pink. And they're each... I think I've only taken note of the deeper one. The deepest one. Which I don't know if it goes all that deep. I'd be curious to see these demoed. They do look really nice. I think it's almost 3 blushes and a shimmery shade. I mean, I need blush like I need a hole in the head. I need makeup in general like I need a hole in the head. And I would be curious to see that deeper quad and how it performs. Because I think that could actually be really pretty. And do we have a price? I think it's, yeah, $43. And I think in the UK it's £38. Yes, it's £38 from Beauty Bay. Roseberry is the deepest one, so that's the one I'd be most intrigued by. I might wait for it to be in Boots and then give it a swatch. It almost reminds me of the Westman Atelier duo that I was eyeing and very, very tempted to buy, even though it's extortionate. And I still think about that blush duo. And it's £38 a lot though. On a sale, I could be tempted on a sale, but not at £38. Having said that, if now it's on Beauty Bay and even a few other places, they tend to have 20% codes knocking about. So if I give it a few weeks until it's not a brand new product, see if a 20% code works on that, and I wouldn't mind trying that. Let's wait till I can swatch it. The Pastel Roses. I completely missed this. I've bought from the Pastel Roses before. I bought the Pumpkin Spice little palette. But this one, completely missed it when it dropped. And then when I did see it, it immediately reminded me of Nocturnal. Not necessarily that it's perhaps an exact dupe, but the layout and the colours chosen, it just made me think Glaminatrix Cosmetics Nocturnal. It's reasonably priced. It's only $24.99, and there are absolutely codes knocking about for the Pastel Roses that you could use to bring that right down. I just wonder how, especially because I look for new releases, because I know I film these every so often, this just completely passed me by. And I don't even know, I think it was when I was doing my roundup to see what I had missed that I saw this. For $24.99, I mean, I don't think that's an unreasonable price, and it's part of an autumn collection, and there's a highlighter which is $7.99 and some single shadows which are either $5.99 or $6.99. I don't know if I like it enough to buy it. Maybe let me look out for some reviews and look for some swatches, because I haven't done that yet. I've just got images of the palette and some items from the bundle, but I haven't seen any reviews. As I say, completely passed me by, but I just thought I'd mention it in case anyone's a Pastel Roses fan. Like, did you spot this one? Completely eluded me. Titanium Fox's Woodwalk Mousse Blush and Highlighter Palette. Clara had mentioned this because it was meant to be released earlier, I think at the same time as Dying Day. And I believe she put the sale back on, because there was a sale on at the time. And she did mention that she would put it back on once she did get the highlighter blush palette in stock. So that's out now. It's €39.95. I'm intrigued by this. It's got some beautiful looking rich blush shades in there. There doesn't seem to be an abundance of white pigment, so I think they would pop on my skin tone, but I'm still waiting to see it demoed on a deeper skin tone before I would take the plunge. And with it being £6, so if I compare that to, for example, to the Huda one, that's £4. Maybe I'll have to dig out how much product is in both of these. But I think you do get more bang for your buck on this one. I think I'd sit tight now because I have all of the Titanium Foxes palettes. This would be something I wouldn't get straight away, only because I wouldn't want to buy it on its own, because I know postage is probably going to be about €8 or €9. So I'd want to make it worthwhile and either buy it with another palette or wait until there's a bundle. If I pick this up, it's not going to be for quite some time, because I'm going to wait until the next duo is available at this point, and then I think I'd pick this up. If there's a really good deal on it before that point, then I might be tempted. I'm going to say yes, because I really love the brand. I really love Titanium Foxes, and I'm hearing people talk about the formula in this. You know, as the description says, Woodwalk Mousse Blush and Highlighter Palette. And Sarah was talking about how the texture, as in like Glitter Raccoon on IG, I was reading her talk about it, and she said it was moussey but dry. There's no kick up in the pan, but it picks up. I really want to stick my fingers in it and get that experience for myself. Like, from hearing people talk about it and seeing people swatch it and seeing Clara demo it, I really like the look of this, and I think it could be really good value for money. At the time, because Clara did say she'd put the sales back on, I don't know if the Happy Alone bundle was on a sale per se, or if it was just a good bundle deal. And she had mentioned at the time that when these did come into stock, she'd put the sale back on, but I was too impatient. I wanted Hidden Peace and Dying Day, because by that point I'd been wanting Hidden Peace for I don't know how long. And while I do want to try this, I don't feel as impatient to get my hands on this as I did the Happy Alone bundle. Very intrigued, and I will be getting it, but just not yet. Question Beauty, Chapter 3, Guardian of the Lagoon. And this is going back to that whole ocean mermaid theming. It's got a little bit of overlap, I'd say, with Submerged. Maybe I'll put Submerged back up and you can sort of see for yourself. There's a little bit of similarity there, which stands to reason. I think they're taking inspiration from something very similar. Sirens and the ocean. There's even a shade in here called Sea Witch, this Question Beauty palette. High Tide, Leviathan, very sea creature based. So a lot of overlap there. If I could only pick one, I probably would go with Submerged. This is £54. So if you're looking at price alone, Artitude definitely wins the battle. I heard mixed reviews about Question Beauty in general. On looking on Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, they do look stunning, but I don't know what's made me not want to go ahead and purchase either of those. And again, looking at this one, I do think it's beautiful, but I don't know I'd want to pay £54 for it. I wonder if the previous chapters are still available, because I think they are meant to be limited edition, and I don't know how many chapters they're going to be. So are they all... Is that the format going forward for Question Beauty palettes? Are they always going to be chapter something, like chapter plus a number and then the title of the palette? Or is this a series where maybe it's going to end on chapter 3, or maybe it's set to go up to chapter 5? I don't know. I'd want to know a bit more, like if it's something where it is going to be a series that eventually ends, so maybe you can buy the bundle at the end of it. I don't know, they may well have explained it themselves at some point, who knows. Together they do look nice though. And they do have a bundle which is chapters 1 and 2 with some brushes and some kind of mixing medium spray. and that bundle is £147. And as I say, that's just chapter 1 and 2, the mixing medium and some brushes. Interesting. I wonder if they've made any changes to the formula along the way, or if this was something that was designed and created all at the same time and they're just staggering the release. Because it would be interesting to know if they've perhaps improved on the formula in chapter 3 in comparison to, say, chapter 1, which I know had very sort of mixed reviews. I think overall it was positive and people liked it, but there were a few things where, you know, need improvement. Out of all 3, probably chapter 2 is the most appealing to me, actually, because that's the one that's least like anything I have. These collectible chapters won't be around forever. Once they're gone for good. Add these collector's pieces to your makeup collection today before they disappear. But how many chapters are you going to have? Question Beauty. I want to know how many chapters there are. I don't know why. I don't know why that makes a difference, but it does. I just want to know. Partly out of nosiness. Nakia Joy Cosmetics. So years ago, I used to watch Nakia Joy actually on YouTube, and I don't know why I stopped. But then I have a sneaky suspicion that YouTube randomly unsubscribes you from people every now and again, because why have I not seen anything from her? Or maybe she hasn't posted, I don't know. She might be focusing on Instagram and on her cosmetics brand at this point. I didn't realise she had a brand up until just before this was released. And lo and behold, it's one of those £9 palettes, and it's $38. And I looked at the website and shipping would be $12. So let's call it $50 basically to get the palette. For a £9 palette, it does look like it's got a decent amount of versatility there. I do have to say. Doesn't go deep enough for me. I think I'd want that deeper brown to be like an almost black brown so I can really use it to get some depth. It could be worth seeing it demoed on a deeper skin tone. Caramel Swirl. 9 buttery shades inspired by the rich tones of caramel sweets. Designed and formulated by a pro makeup artist. Everything you need to create any daytime or nighttime look. Pigmented, easy to blend shades. Easy pair grid. Any 3 shades you choose vertically or horizontally will give you a perfectly polished look. And I thought that was quite clever. I saw the video where Nakia was talking about it and saying, you know, it's foolproof, just go across or go diagonally if you're a bit stuck. So in that sense, it's got some versatility to it. But you know me and my depth, I'd want more depth. I don't need a black necessarily, but in something like this, a really deep brown, I think, would have really done it. Because looking at how the brown has added depth on Nakia's eyes on this look I'm showing now, it wouldn't do that for me. That's my skin tone, so that's why I would need a deeper brown. But I thought it was pretty. It made me stop and it made me look, and enough to get more information on it. And I do think it's a really nice little neutral-esque story, colour story, but I wouldn't get it for the reasons I've just stated. Not enough depth. Me and my depth. And last but not least, gosh, are we there already? Have I missed anything? Well, I've missed a few bits, but because we don't want to be here till Christmas, do we? Mind you, Christmas isn't that far away now, is it? Last but not least, Nomad. And I was going to do what I did last time and do a live reaction, but I went on to Instagram to check something else, completely forgetting that that's what I wanted to do, and the very first thing I saw was the new Nomad release. So you're not getting a live reaction because I've already seen it. A bit annoyed about that, but it is what it is. Nomad Cosmetics Christmas marked. Christkindl marked. It's inspired by the Christmas markets in Germany. And it's 15 shades, 9 shimmers, 5 mattes. Very shimmer heavy, this palette. I think is it Berlin Underground that's similar composition. There's going to be a free gift with purchase when it's first launched. It looks nice. It was one of those, you know, when you first see a palette and you think, oh, I don't know. And then I saw Jan showing it, and Jan did some looks. Maybe I'll link her video down below. I think she did 5 in total. She did a lot. I even commented when I was watching it, I think she did a really good job of showing the versatility of that palette. It's a palette that screams Christmas. Screams it. You look at the colour story in the pans and it's got the Christmas green, the Christmas red. If a palette could talk, it would probably, you know, you'd open the lid and it would start going jingle bells. Would I get copyright striked if I sing that? But it would sing Christmas songs to you. It's one of those you'd go, and you just hear Christmas coming from the palette. That's what I envisage. I did wonder where they would go with this after Polar Express. Now, Polar Express is probably I say probably as if I'm doubting it. It is the first Christmas palette from Nomad that I have. And I did wonder after Polar Express where they would go. And I think my criticism with Polar Express is that it was missing like the Christmas green. Maybe they were holding it back for this palette. I think off the bat, and I do actually really, really like Polar Express, I think this would edge it on like the Christmas theme, just because this has got that little bit more variety to it. So you know how I mentioned, maybe I'll put the Bella Beauté bar and this one side by side. Bella Beauté bar missed the mark for me because it focused a little bit too much on the icy side. This includes the icy side, like that down that centre column. That's the icy, snowy Christmas. But then you've got like that rich brown, that beautiful looking green matte, that red, that super deep green in the form of Marketplace. I think it's called Marketplace. It's got depth in the shades Nutcracker and that Marketplace shade. I think this is not, it's a yes from me. And something about Nomad is just, it's like a comfort brand to me. I just really love Nomad. I know what I'm getting with Nomad. It's not extortionately priced. I know how to use the shadows to make them last. Maybe it's the travel theming behind it all that also draws me into Nomad, because I love to travel. But there's just something about Nomad that is just really appealing to me. And I think I've said this, but it's going to sound like I'm laying it on thick because I do have a code with them now, but it's not affiliated. It's not an affiliated code. It's just a code that you can use if you want to save 10%. And it's JUSTJEM, all one word, no underscores or anything like that. But I would even, to prove to you that I'm not laying it on thick because I have a non-affiliated code with the brand, wait until their sale. Because normally when they do sales around Black Friday, I think it'll be Cyber Monday that this would kick in, it's 30% off and it's normally site-wide, including their latest release. Don't rush out and buy it now, I'm not. I'm waiting until Cyber Monday and I'll probably pick up this and Pacific Northwest at the same time. I'm going to put in, so Deandra Nicole did swatches and they were on her story, and I think that's what fully sold it to me. And this is the trick that I think a lot of brands miss. Just show me how it's going to look on my skin tone, and once I've seen it looks good on my skin tone, I'm more inclined to then go out and buy it. Get your products to creators of a deeper skin tone so that consumers can see what it could look like on them. Sometimes I'll pass up on a palette, at least initially, because no one who looks like me is using it. How am I supposed to gauge how it's going to look, how it's going to perform? I'm better at that now, but that's through experience and being burnt in the past. I don't want to spend hours trawling through creators who look like me, who might potentially have it. Just get it out there, get it out to everyone. Fair skin, medium skin, deep skin, everyone in between. It's not difficult. There are creators out there who would bite your hand off to be able to showcase what you're doing. It's not hard. I saw it, it screamed Christmas. I saw Jan demo it, it screamed versatility. I saw swatches on Deandra, sold. Sold. So I'm buying it. I think Nomad have done a really good job on this. It's weird because my criticism of, well, mind you, because I think Marketplace is that a very, very deep green. I don't think that's a black. Chris Kindle marked. That's what it's called. Chris Kindle marked. I knew it was Chris something marked. That looks nice. It's a yes for me. I've been talking for a very long time now. My throat hurts. I don't know if I'm getting ill. My tea's gone cold. I'm wondering why. I don't know if I'm getting ill. I've been on the cusp of a cold coming for basically the entire duration of a week. It can't make its mind up whether it wants to fully knock me down or just linger and be annoying. But that's where I am. So my throat's a little bit sore. Have I missed anything? I know there are things in here I didn't talk about because I just don't want to keep talking, to be honest. There's a lot of makeups, and what I might do is I might do a separate video. I was going to include it in this, but this is already very long, I can tell. So I'm going to do a separate video, and it's going to be about how to handle the FOMO. I think techniques to avoid being bombarded. Well, you're going to be bombarded anyway. I don't think you can avoid that. But just techniques on how to cope when you are being bombarded. You know, how to avoid the FOMO, how to prioritize, that kind of thing. So it's a bit of a survivor's guide to the holiday season. Ooh, maybe that's what I'll call it. Ooh, yeah. Let me know what you're picking up. If you're anything like me, I would imagine the answer to that is nothing, at least not until Black Friday. Because you'd be a mug to pick up anything before then at this point. I'm just going to say it. You would. Don't buy anything now. Wait. You've waited this long. If you're lucky enough to benefit from the Sephora sale, maybe pick up your staples, you know, your concealer, foundation, those kinds of things. But beyond that, just wait for Black Friday now. You can almost touch it. Almost touch it. As always, thank you for taking the time to watch. I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and I also hope to see you again in a video in the not too distant future. Take care. Bye.